Well, hello, everybody. Mac here, along with my dear friend Tim, and we're so happy that you could join us and talk a little bit this spring of 2026 about the wood element. In particular, Tim and I have been talking around the equinox and the change of the season and how this is a time where energetically it impacts, of course, both men and women. But coming from a guy perspective, we want to share with you a little bit about some of the things that we've seen and how this time of year really has an impact on men. So, Tim, with that said, let me turn this over to you, and the floor is yours, sir.
All right, let's get started. Well, again, just as you said, it's important, really important time of the year for both men and women. But for men, it's like going through a hormonal shift that's pretty intense for us. And women might be a little more used to it just because they do this monthly, and it tends to gather during that springtime season. And it's just really good for us to be aware that our nervous system might be a little bit overworked and overstimulated, for that matter, and things might come a little because the liver's been under duress during this time. It's just good to be aware that we might be a little bit on edge or feeling the edge. I think you know what I mean, Mac, for
I
sure.
do.
Yes, exactly. So one of the things I'm just going to talk a little bit about the awareness. It's like, okay, if I'm not aware that I'm losing my marbles on somebody for no reason, that's usually a symptom. If I'm throwing it out there, the filter might be off a little bit, and that's just because I'm out of balance. Okay, and it's the liver, and of course that correlating emotions, frustration and or anger and irritability, things along those lines. So it's good to recognize the symptom of anger, and it's a good thing. It's trying to help you. It's like showing that something's off, and so there's things we can do. Personally, I know that Dolphin does a cleanse, but I kind of do my own men's version of that because I like to start it like and it's good. This is just to be aware for guys to start it and be aware about 1 week before the equinox, which is the 21st. So 1 week before and 1 week after, that window right in there, because that's when we usually really get hit. Personally, I'd like to do something. I'm kind of in the middle of it right now, as a matter of fact, and I should be finishing up my little cleanse. I just do a master cleanse myself, but I also combine it with good healthy oils, and it's pretty liquefied. And then of course with Sunrider Foods, Sunrider takes care of all my nutritional needs. So I've done it many times in the past, and I really enjoy it because it feels like I'm not in need of anything. I'm not reaching out for or feeling hungry for that chocolate cake, or I mean, or any other food that isn't essential. How's that?
Right on.
Chocolate cake. I mean, I need some chocolate cake after this
I
is
was going to
over.
say you had to plant that seed, didn't you?
I know, damn. What can you do? Anyway, so and personally, I like to do. I mean, I think we're our meditators. I like to meditate, and I usually do my 20 minutes in the morning. But it really helps me be aware and to stay in touch with who I am. And I like to take that time just after I have my big old glass of water in the morning. That's the first thing that goes in, and then I sit down and have that meditation time. But again, just being aware, and we want to be able to not only nourish that liver, but we want to be able to bring ourselves around to a state of feeling regulated versus dysregulated. And dysregulated is, again, we're just trying to mention it as a symptom. So when we're aware, oh, geez, I'm a little on edge, there's some things I can do. So I can definitely have some Sunrider Foods, and I can definitely start a little bit of a cleanse or being aware of it, or just getting on top of it is more of than anything to do with this. And of course, it's good to do something around every seasonal change, but particularly spring for guys. If girls, if you've been noticing the guys, biting your head off when you didn't do anything, then there might be a symptom also that you're recognizing. Honey, you might want to try a little bit of something, something. And there's some foods that can nourish us along the way to support. And Mac, you might have some ideas as. I mean, there's Sunrider Foods, but we might want to talk about them specifically, unless there's something you want to add to that for
Well,
sure.
just the acknowledgement of some of the stuff you said, and Tim, you're right. I know for me personally, that awareness that you mentioned, okay, just being aware of the mood I'm in or how I'm expressing myself makes a huge difference to me because if I can be aware of it, I can then deal with it, okay, and I can move
Exactly.
past it. And you've shared a couple of things already that how we can really healthy expressions, if you will, okay,
Yeah,
that we can
exactly.
take on. And
Oh,
some of them are up here on the slide too. I mean, the exercise and movement, the walking, the light martial arts, the bit of strength training, stretching in particular is very important this year because
Yes.
it does release both the liver and the gallbladder channels. And I know it's hard to see on the screen, but there was the meridian shown between the liver and the gallbladder and how it impacts the rest of the body. Um, some of the things that we can certainly do over and above that, and you started to this a little bit yourself about, setting goals and planning that next step and channeling our energy into purpose versus scattered action, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things. Even, I even find just conversations like this, talking, Tim, just talking about it and being aware that these things are happening can have journaling, breath
Oh,
work you've
yeah.
shared with us many times, so we don't need to go there. But yeah, there's some great ways that we can actually help us through some of this stuff. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I'll just quickly go over this next slide. I mean, you and
I
I've
love it.
talked before about the fact that, the liver being responsible for that chi flowing smoothly, and chi, of course, being our life force energy in our body, and what can happen if that becomes stagnant and blocked and out of control,
That's right.
and without going into a bunch of stuff, I mean, I love this quote from Mark Twain that I think puts it perfectly, and that is, anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than anything onto which it is poured. And true enough, man, if we hold in that anger, it can really hurt us more than it hurts anybody else. And now, to your point, there are a few foods that we would like to share a little bit about. So, as usual, I just want to remind everybody that none of the information we're providing in this presentation is intended to represent a diagnosis or cure of any illness of disease. And Tim, I just put four things up here on the screen, but I know there's more than this. And I'll let you start us off. Tell us, which ones do you like and why?
Well, I have had Viros. I'd never gone, just to be honest, I haven't gone through a long
Mhm.
term, but I
Yeah.
had it for full session, so that was about a month and a half, and it was lovely.
Yep.
But what I have been consistent with is having Beauty Pearl, and Beauty Pearl is awesome, and I'd say
Mhm.
it's a pretty close equivalent. But again, you're feeding your endocrine system, and when the endocrine system is healthy, it tends to communicate, or the communication, the windows or doors of communication remain open, particularly the hormonal messages when dealing with the liver, for example. Definitely. Other foods that I like to have is, definitely, I mean, I've got to go with New Plus or Protein Plus. Wonderful. I mean, they're fantastic. And again, anti-inflammatory properties also. And again, when the liver's struggling, you're going to have sore joints, right? So you get a little inflammation in the joints. So that's one thing I really like. And of course, I think you have here Prime Again, and there is Siberian ginseng in Prime Again also, I think. But you also have Sport Caps. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
Sport
if
Caps.
the sports caps has the Siberian ginseng for
Yes, that's right.
sure. And the prime again is more like the Chinese yam and the
Is the
pork
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
paper
that's right.
mulberry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just need a quick review there. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, no problem, man.
But all these foods, and then again, I like to again just because there's flow, and if you're going to be having a few extra foods, it's nice that I mean personally, I just like to have Cali with everything. It's the first food I started with, and I mean it's all about the cleansing aspect of our being. So if we're going to stir things up and have these foods, well, what happens is it makes the body tend to eliminate a little more efficiently, and you want to be able to optimally eliminate at a cellular level, and that's where Cali comes in, and/or Fortune Delight. And Fortune Delight is actually a really good time right now this year, this time of year for sure, for everybody, but for the guys and girls, if you need a little bit of help, hand your guy a bottle of Viros and some Fortune Delight, and he'll thank you later.
Hey,
He'll-
I'm glad you brought up the Cali and the Fortune Delight, Tim, because one of the central aspects around the spring season in the wood element is that whole idea of getting rid of the old so you can make space for the new. And that's not only in our space and our environments, but it's in our body too. We have to cleanse out the old stuff, especially the stuff that's accumulated over that winter time, that kind of thing, which I certainly know that I have felt. And what an important time of year to be cleansing so we can make room for that new nutrition we're going to put in our bodies. And, I don't want to go off on a tangent with some of these products myself, but I will say Veros is something that I've been using consistently for quite a while right now. And it's mainly, it came out of remember, well, you'll remember you were part of it when we did our nitric oxide type of program a couple of
Yes.
years ago. And we've talked about nitric oxide several times over the last couple of years. And again, Veros contains an herb which is known to increase the nitric oxide levels in the blood. And what that does is it supports blood flow and healthy circulation through the body. So again, I love it. The Prime again, a wonderful formula. Prime for me is something that I do focus on more specifically probably in the summer months because that's when fire element is in place and the endocrine system is really firing on all cylinders. But again, Prime is again to Dr. Chin's credit, an incredible formulation with predominantly fire element herbs that do support our endocrine system overall. So again, it's also part of our five element quinary that we have. So wonderful. Beauty Pearl, oh man, I love how you described it and everything. And for those people that don't know, Beauty Pearl was actually a formula that came out from hundreds and hundreds of years ago and was developed for the empresses of China to promote beautiful skin and youthfulness. Okay. It is intended to nourish and promote hormonal system ability as well as beautiful skin from within. Okay. And for those of us that men in particular, beautiful skin, oh, that's great, all wonderful. But really, there was a very affectionate term given to beauty pearls years ago, and it's called macho marbles. Okay. And where that really came from is the fact that, men, we can have a tendency to be irritable. We, especially this time of deal year, we can all be dealing with anger related issues, etc. And beauty pearls are something that really helps us with that because they do establish a more normal, stabilized hormonal system, if you will, for both men and women. They do provide cell nourishment for the skin and all over the body. It enables the body to better assimilate other foods that are rich in vitamin and minerals, and it has highly assimilatable, easy for me to say, calcium. So again, Dr. Chen and these formulas and how he's created these things are absolutely wonderful. So,
Yes.
ladies, again, if you find your man, as Tim has said earlier, a little bit more aggressive or kind of blowing up a little bit, hand them a couple of beauty pearl. Okay, it ain't gonna hurt a thing. Um,
Oh, tell him you love him.
yeah, there you go. At the same time, please, uh, hey, the last thing up on the screen, and I just threw it up here because it is something available here in the US. It's called our Vitality and Endurance for Him bundle. And it includes our Sunfit Protein Plus, which is great in terms of delivering vegan-based protein to the body. Veros, we've already talked about. It also includes our peptide collagen, which is the peptide is again, it's one of our two collagens that again is a marine-based collagen because obviously we didn't want to use bovine or anything else. So this again is an incredible collagen product that was designed specifically for our joints and our bones. It does include turmeric, so it has a bit of that little orange yellow color to it, and it mixes well though. It tastes great and is wonderful. And one of my other favorites is the sports caps. And again, sports caps has Oh, it's such a wonderful food. I mean, everything from bee pollen, which is a superfood, one of nature's most completely nourishing foods, vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, lipids, protein, you name it, it's all there. It also includes the Siberian ginseng, which you mentioned yourself before, which is one of our adaptogen products, which helps us again to be calm and more centered in our space. So, again, a wonderful product mix. And Tim, again, I think the only one that we probably haven't mentioned was Alpha 20C, unless you said it and I completely missed it a second ago.
No, you've got
So,
it. You nailed it. It should be in that little wall cabinet with the glass, and it says, "In case of emergency, break glass." For this time of year,
Exactly.
anyway.
Well, hey, absolutely, and I know, like you, Alpha 20 is something I use around the year. I mean, every single
Yes.
season, and it is our premier wood element formula that Dr. Chin developed. Again, another piece of the quinary, but this was specifically developed to support our immune system, which is so important right now. And
Right now, yes.
and I mean, I love that product. Being socially involved the way that we both are sometimes, and so forth. I mean, the one thing, just one little story, and you probably have one too, but I did, and this isn't Alpha 20C necessarily. It's kind of tying back into the recognition of where we're at in our space at the moment. But I was
Right.
in my dojo earlier this week, and I was given the actually the very wonderful task of leading the classes this week. And I was with the adult class, and as a third degree black belt, it isn't very often that I look back at some of the basics, which is my bad. Okay, I know better than that. But I was trying to teach the white belt adults, oh, here's, closed cat versus fighting cat, or side crane versus fighting crane, and these things. And I got them wrong. And one of the yellow belts looks at me, he goes, "Sir, I don't mean to say anything, but I got to say something here. Closed cats actually like this, and fighting cats like that." And my first instinct was to kind of beat myself up or get angry, but I immediately recognized what was going on. I got this huge smile on my face. I started cracking up. They started laughing. Okay. And it was like one of those acknowledgments of, hey, you guys, okay, we're all human. I'm with you. But if you tell our instructor when he comes back into town, I know where you live. Okay.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it was just one of those. So it was fun. Have you had any experiences along those lines yourself?
Of course, I could list dozens, but what's really good and recently is that I've been playing a lot of badminton, as a lot of people have been knowing, and tennis in the summertime.
Sure.
But sometimes when I miss a shot, if
Uh,
I, and it's especially if it's a gimme, like it's candy, it's just hanging there like flowers.
uh,
Anyway, and then you miss it and it goes into the net, and my first instinct is to just like, and you like you said, and instantly you're down on yourself. And
uh-huh.
if you're and badminton's a really quick moving game, and if you're
Yeah.
not out of that space for the next point, you're going to let that last point affect the next five,
Yep.
which you're going to lose. And so, what is it? Being able to bring yourself back to center. And one of my favorite ways of doing that now is, and I used to, well, I'm not going to say it out loud, but I use the F word as an expletive at some time. Not, I wouldn't do that in the court because there's rules around the place, but sometimes, who knows? In fact, it doesn't come out. I use something else.
Sure.
I use something called, I go to German, and instead of saying the bleep, I go, nine. It's like no,
No,
nine,
exactly.
and it releases really well. It's amazing, and all of a sudden I'm back nine, and it's funny. It's funny
Yeah.
because I just missed a shot, and everybody laughs, just like you said, and then you're
Yep.
back to it's okay, whatever. I
Of
mess up. In
course.
fact, the more mistakes I make, the better it gets. Anyway, it's pretty funny, and it's nine. So nine,
Nine, exactly.
nine.
Tim,
Got to say
wonderful.
it
Hey,
with.
man. And
Okay, there you go.
as always, I love these opportunities for you and I to get together and to share a little bit with people. And again, men and women that are listening to this call, I hope you get something out of this. And like we've said before, use some of those products, but Beauty Pearl is a great one to give your man if you see something going on. So anyway, Tim, thank you so much as always, buddy.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Likewise. Have a great one, everybody.